All right, guys, welcome back. So we are at the semifinals of the first Texas Old School online tournament. Very excited for it. Again, this is a deck. I'm going to put out a new deck tech about it. I'm kind of going over more about the deck in a few minutes here, but I wanted to throw this game out first. I was super excited for it. Here's the current very first try at a banned and restricted list. I actually love it. Um, it allows for all kinds of new stuff, not the same kind of decks over and over. The one card I love being restricted on here is Tome. I like certain things like him, the Torok Band and Mind Twist Band, Maze Band, Library Band, like a lot of those cards, even sitting in a bottle, like those cards banned, it allows for more fun. And you think, oh my god, it messes the format up. No, we had a blast with it, and I cannot wait. This is my new favorite format. So that being said, I'm on the left with a new version of the deck created by Brian. He gave me a list. I modified slightly, not much, but we modified it basically to fit Texas Old School. So me and my son here are hanging out. So I'm going to start this video for you. I'm playing against Travis again. This is a much shorter set of games, but basically now that we ended up against each other in the semifinals, so now that we already know each other's deck, it's going to be a lot easier for me. I can go around it. So he's starting off with a plains, no tax or tower. And that's the deck he's playing again. I'm playing basically double blue, so I have counter magic already up. Now what I know this round about Travis's deck is the only counter spell main he has is actually Mana Drain. Alright, my bad, I'm back. Diaper duty. If you have kids, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, so he's going to play another plains and pass. So that tells me he's not running the tax tower at the moment. And he also is very cautious about tax tower. Travis and I were talking about it earlier because of Mirror Universe. The way my deck's built, all it does is make the games last a lot longer, like we learned the first time. And if you watch the first video, it's a lot of me trying to figure out how to go against tax tower the first time with a deck like this. And there was a lot of things I learned. Don't attack the land tax. It's going to cost too many resources to get rid of 8 cards. Get rid of 8 enchantments out of your start deck. It's way too many resources. I'll let him land tax all he wants, but I'm going to attack the towers only. And the reason I'm doing it this round is because I know he only has 1 mana drain, which is his true counter spell. He does have 3 flash counters, but that's the only true one he has in here. Because he's playing the tax tower, he needs a lot of basics. And he does splash green. Oh, there's my little guy's arm. And there's the plains. Or an island. If you haven't seen that island before, it's actually an altered island by the guys from the Four Horsemen. It's basically if you take the card out and flip it around, which I'll do on the deck tech, it's an Arabian Nights back of the card, which I think is awesome. A lot of this is just going to pass back and forth for a minute. And this is actually what I want to do with this deck for the first game. I know it seems a little crazy, but if you're not a big deck player, you want to make sure before you really do things, you actually have extra resources. Now, I'm looking at right now, and I'm saying, hey, he only has 1 blue open. So he does not have double blue. It's not possible for him to counter a sorcery. So I'm going to take the hit, I'm going to tap out, and I'm pretty much going to seal the game out right now. I'm just going to sit down, throw an amnesia, wipe his entire hand out, and then kill him. And right there, he's looking, realizing a flash counter is a great card. But I'd rather run the extra blue, get off of tax tower, and this is exactly the reason. Now I took out main part of his deck right there, Feld's King. So running his land tax and tower right now is a very bad idea because that's the only way he has get his graveyard back and before sideboard. So I pretty much took out one of his major win conditions. And he didn't want to tap out for an angel, which I actually have plenty of answers in my hand for creatures right now. So that's it for me. I'm going to wipe his hand out. I'm going to pass it, and we'll see what happens. All right, so there's the pass. We were just kind of talking about the difference between Amnesia and Mind Twist. He had 6 cards in hand. So for me to Mind Twist him, I would have had 7 mana. So if I had a Mind Twist right now, I would not have been able to Mind Twist his entire hand. So now I realize why, I believe it was Randy Bueller, if I'm not mistaken, the first time I saw it, ran a Mind Twist and an Amnesia in one of his decks, but I think the Amnesia was a sideboard card, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember seeing that in the deck. Well, there's a land tax. I actually don't mind him doing that now because he doesn't have his Feldon's Cane, which is something you have to counter. You can't blow up a Feldon's Cane because of the way New Magic has the rules now. It's just going to go on a stack anyway, and it's going to go off no matter what. So I know he has no cards in hand. So I'm going to try and play the game here, and I'm going to try and finish this real fast. Looks like I'm hesitating here. There she is, Sarah Angel. I think that was one of the first tests I did just to see if I could recreate her dress. Came out pretty good, I think. Alright, so there's the land tax. So at this point, he's really not doing it to try and gain life off of it anymore. That game is gone. So what he's trying to do is basically get some mana he needs for what he wants to play, but he also wants to thin the lands out of his deck so he can hopefully draw some answers, because right now he's top decking. And he needs a top deck an answer. So if he didn't top deck a Plow, I have the game sealed. So I should have waited, but I banked on quickness. So I'm going to try and end this game quickly. So if he doesn't draw a Plow, I already have, I believe, a mana drain and a counter spell in my hand. I have a Plow, a disenchant. I don't remember what else was in my hand, but I had all the answers I needed to for everything. All right, so we skip ahead of all the multiple piles. Now, just a reminder for Four Horsemen and Texas Old School. We do 6 piles randomly. So you shuffle, and then you create 6 piles, and you roll a dice. Your opponent rolls a dice, and that's what you get. So he has 3 lands and 1 draw. And we're going to see what he drew. But Amnesia is brutal. The only kickback to Amnesia is they don't discard their lands. And it sounds a little crazy, but when you're running Disrupting Scepters, it does make it a little more difficult to play against land tax. If it's not land tax, it doesn't bother me at all, but land tax Disrupting Scepters are really not good against. Alright, so there's the green. He's going to play a Sylvan Library. That tells me the card in hand was drawn was a Sylvan Library. So he only has 2 lands in his hand right now, and I know that. So now I am definitely fixed on color without taking damage anymore. And now I know he does not have anything in hand other than lands. Here I should attack for 6. Let's see if I do. Yep, there's the activation and the swing for 6. And remind you, I'm keeping 4 blue open. Let's see if I keep the whole thing open. I still have 2 blue open. Alright, so there's a Disrupting Scepter. That's the thing I was talking about before. If I can get some of the lands out of his hand, I'll know if he keeps a card what it is. At least in theory, if it's a land or not. But he's going to get so far ahead now because he's going to keep taxing that Disrupting Scepter's pointless. So I do have a counterspell in hand. He can only draw the one card, so I'm not really sweating it. If he dumps a bunch of life, he's just going to kill himself. Alright, so now we're on the Solvent Library trigger. And he's going to try and find an answer there. Now I'm expecting some kind of removal as his pick. Nope. No removal. So possibly a counterspell or something like that, but that also tells me A, to dip the life, so he didn't pull all his removal out. So he might have a disenchant for the factory. So I have to keep some mana open for that as well now. Because he didn't kill the Sarah. And assuming you're going to pull something, Desperation will tell you, okay, look, I'm going to have removal for something. So if he didn't kill the Sarah, I'm expecting removal for the factory right now. There's a Divine Offering for the factory. Now, I want this game to end, and if you have more counterspells in your hand, it's okay to play one right now, because it's going to win the game faster. I want to kind of keep the factory, because there is only one in this format. It is a non-basic land, so it is restricted to one. So, and in this fashion, if he pulls a Wrath of God, excuse me, if he pulls a Wrath of God, it's not going to kill my factory. So I am going to protect with a counterspell. And I do have a mana drain in hand also. And I know he only drew one card. So now I should be safe no matter what. I'm just correcting my tap here. I'm separating everything, blue one side, non-blue the other, which I realize there's only one land I have that doesn't produce blue. So now I'm going to correct my tapping here and make sure everything's good and it's all tapped out. I'm trying to get better at separating my stuff, so this way people can tell what's tapped and not tapped. I'm trying to break my bad habit of angle tapping. Now there's a regrowth. I'm going to regrowth that counterspell. Maybe I did not have the mana drain yet. But he knows I have a counterspell in hand, so now he's going to have to take life, which he doesn't have to lose now. Alright. Oh, looks like we're still land taxing here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. We're all off of the land tax. Now we're going to see if he was able to top deck anything here. He has a massive hand, but I mean, unless he pulls like 2 towers out or something like that, I don't know. I mean, 1 tower would keep him alive if he had an ivory tower. Unless I have removal for it, of course. He knows I have a counterspell, so he only pulled 1 card. So no matter what he does, I have a counterspell for it. I don't think there's a way around anything. Alright. So now we're into the thought. There's his island from his hand. I don't know what he top decked. He had his Solvent Library trigger. Let's see what he got. Discards a land. Again, running Scepter right now is really useless. It's kind of a dead card against land tax. So I will end up in sideboarding. One of the choices I made is I'm going to take both my Scepters out. And I'm going to put my extra Amnesia in to run 2 Amnesias. Son's awful excited behind me here, but I'm going to go ahead and swing and There's a disenchant ahead of time. So I don't want him to have any options to pick anymore. I have the counter spell in hand. So now I'm going to put him at 2 life. I'm going to pass with a hand of removal. I believe I top decked that disenchant. So I didn't mind burning it off, but he's going to land tax here. I'm going to skip ahead of all this part for you, but he's going to land tax and see if he can top deck. At this point, there's nothing he can top deck. Alright, so basically what we're doing now is just trying to see if there's any way for him to stay alive and stay out of this, and there is not. We have the flash counter. That wasn't going to save him. We have disenchant. So there's game number 1. I showed him my hand, a Mirror Universe, a Plow, a Counterspell, Chaos Orb. That's what the removal was. I was trying to remember what the other thing was. So now we're going to go sideboard, and we're going to game number 2. Alright, so what I have here is my picture up now. I'll go over this full thing in great detail with you and tell you the changes I'm going to be making for the next tournament, how I'm going to play it forward, and what I've learned so far about Texas Old School. So right now, there's a few cards that are dead to me. Obviously, the Moat is dead. Alright, I don't really need an Ivory Tower. I don't need the Scepters. There's a few cards in here that are completely dead. I just don't need them. So I'm going to sideboard those out. Now, let me know in the comments what you would sideboard in and what you would take out. I could put a Greed in if I wanted to. But I ended up just putting the 4 Specters in, Amnesia, and the Hive. And the reason I went with the Hive is because we're going to look at his deck picture now. If you look at his deck picture, you'll notice what I was talking about. After I played the first game, I realized he doesn't have real counterspells in there. So, looking at this, I'm going to run the Specters, but I have to have Hive. The reason I have to have Hive is because you see how there's 4 Wrath of Gods and 4 Sword of Plowshares? He's going to have 3 flash counters, a mana drain, and a counterspell. He's also, I'm sure he's going to bring in the artifact removal he's missing, as well as the Twister and the Millstone against me. So there's a lot he's probably going to take out. So the Ivory Tower game and land tax game I'm on to. So he might leave, like, say, 2 towers and 2 land tax and take out 4. And that'll give him the 4 cards he needs. Maybe possibly remove, a flash counter or something. But that's basically his setup. Let me know what you would do for him and what you think of that one. But that's Travis's deck. Alright, so now we're on game number 2. I had the mulligan once. Alright, sorry about that. Another quick emergency. So now we're starting off with the land tax. Now again, I had the mulligan, so I'm down cards. Alright, I don't have a double blue. That's a Mox Pearl. And there's a quick pass. Alright, so I have double blue up. He has a lot of mana going on here. But let's see what he does. Now I have a plow and some other things in hand. I believe I took a single plow out. So I still have 3 plows, a chaos orb. I have 2 ways to get things back. I'm not really sweating a creature thing. Because I know his Forsairs are not going to kill me. I know it's very hard to out-control this deck. In fact, Brian and I have been talking about this deck a lot, and this version might actually, even with the restrictions on it, we think it might actually be better than his version for the EC that he won in 2019 with. So if I was to take this deck and I was to put the missing cards in it that are not in there, this version right here, the way it's sitting without changes might still be more powerful. And it actually holds true. I did do some counter games or some test games with it, and I actually beat regular Swedish and with mind twists and stuff like that. See, now he has blue, now he has white, so now he has flash counters at least available. So he's got to watch what he's doing, because if he taps, and right there you'll see where he's kind of messing around. What do I do? What don't I do? Sullivan Library, absolute perfect thing. Now I did not have a enchantment removal, but I did have a counter spell, so I countered that away, which tells me he doesn't have a flash counter in hand. So he might have a double blue. And there's the pass. So again, don't forget, leave in comments what you think of the decks. What's going on? That is a Mox Emerald. There is a Scrub. Patrick, get down, buddy. Now, in person, I like to do what Brian does, and it drives the guys nuts, but I like to throw everything up top, random all over the board. Now, they're very clean, very organized, and they're a very easy pattern. But I like to start off, when I start playing lands, I like to start playing them at the top, right in front of my opponent. Here's my cards. A lot of guys don't like that. I like it. I don't mind it. As long as all my stuff is visible, I'm good. Looks like I had to step away for a quick emergency. We're going to skip ahead here. I'm just letting him do his land tax thing. Alright, so we did some land taxing. And we drew. And let's see what we got. This is the hand I was thinking about before. I had Mana Drain in my hand. That's why I didn't mind using a counter spell. Because I already had another counter spell, and I can't play more than 2 counter spells at a time. Now that actually, that was interesting to me. That told me even after all this, he was desperate for either one of 2 things. One, his hand was absolutely horrendous trash, or he had needed that Sullivan Library back, like really bad. Alright, so we did all of our new hands, all of our draws. He's past turn. So I'm going to decide if there's something I'm doing on end step. Now that should tell you right there, I have extra enchantment removal and control in my hand. Now I'm trying to go for the throat here quick. You don't normally ever do this. You want to keep double blue open. I did not have a counterspell in my hand this time. So, and I don't mind actually, believe it or not. If a hippie's out and a Sarah's out, that's fine. So, there goes one of his removal right there. Again, I'm doing this at a quick pace to try and get the game over with quickly. We both had some possible issues with time, so we didn't want to take a very long time with this game. There's the tax. We're not going to draw all the lands, if you notice. He is trying to weed the percentage out a little bit, but he doesn't want his deck getting too low. He already used the Time Twister, so he only has 1 card left. So the only card left to get his library back is Felden's Cane now. And if I get rid of his Millstone and his Felden's Cane, he's pretty much done. Alright, so there's a discard on the plains and a pass. Alright, so I decided just to pass with the cards in hand. Alright, there's a little quick thing. Now, when your deck gets really low, we don't want 6 piles. So that's a good example of after you start weeding your deck kind of crazy. He pulled a lot of lands out of his deck. He really doesn't have a lot of piles, so we're just going to make it quick and easy with 3. But when we start off, it's always 6. And usually we keep 6, but land tax, you draw through your deck fast. Looks like we're pitching a plains. We're going to play a tower. And there's a disenchant on the tower. Again, like I said, I had more than one disenchant in hand, so I didn't mind it. I was trying to get him off of the mana advantage, because if he played a Sarah, I didn't want him to possibly have 2 blue after playing a Sarah Angel. So I'm trying to stay ahead of the resource game on a control end. And there's the pass. Alright. Now, I'll tell you, I remember this hand. I thought, hey, there's 2 amnesias. I'm going to have some good stuff. I actually drew almost all lands with that hand. So we're passing back and forth because he's taxing, getting lands, drawing, getting lands. I'm drawing lands and getting, well, like I said, Time Twister the entire hand. But I am cautious too. So a lot of those lands I'm keeping in my hand are because I know he could possibly put in Armageddons. Now, they're really not going to slow me down that much because I have a Hypnotic Spectre in my hand. That's the reason I played the other one. I thought, hey, if I can get in there and he doesn't have a plow, then I can end the game real quick again. But since I had 2 of them, I wasn't sweating it. So I played one, but then everything got cycled in. So I believe right now in this hand too, though, I have a Hypnotic Spectre in hand. And I have removal. So there's the counter spell that I have. I do not want that to come out. That is his sideboard, the only one. So that's his basic win condition there. Like I said, the only thing left is a Felden's Cane. If I get rid of that Felden's Cane, then I know that he can't get the stuff back, and it's pretty much game over. Okay, he had to answer a quick call there, so he skipped ahead. It is my turn, so I'm going to play a hippie and see if he has anything. There's a plow. I'm going to let that go. what I'm waiting for is something to mana drain. I want to end the game with an Amnesia. If I can mana drain something, that gives me 3 colorless mana to blow on Amnesia, so I don't have to tap out for it, and I can protect it with my 1 counter spell. So right now I'm sitting with an Amnesia in hand and a counter spell, but I want to be able to protect it. It's like a Mind Twist. You got to set up for these things. You can't just play them and think 1 spell's going to be enough. So right now I'm trying to see, okay, let's see how much stuff you have and what kind of stuff you have for removal. So I'm double checking the account in my hand, leaving my hand on table as usual. He's going to basically draw and pass real quick, so I'm going to draw with book at his end step. Alright, there's the Demonic Tutor. So that'll get me a card I need. I don't remember if I had Amnesia in my hand or I Demonic Tutored for Amnesia. No, yep, I did. So I Demonic Tutor for Amnesia, and I went for the kill here to see if I could wipe him out now. Knowing there's only 2 counter spells in his entire deck. Alright, so I know he hasn't been playing anything, and I know he has mostly lands in his hand. So I played it almost on purpose. I have another one to get. I'm not minding it. But now he has 6 mana. Alright, so here's the pass. Now he has 6 colorless mana to use. When you haven't had anything in your hand, you're really going to be missing out. He would have Brain Geysered if he had it. There's cards he would have played if he had it. He has plenty of mana. You could have Brain Geysered for a bunch and still had mana open to counterspell. So I know he didn't have a Brain Geyser. There is no Mind Twist. And here's the heavy hit. He can't figure out what to use. Now you'll see a couple little glitch jumps here, but Werribee is challenging. Sometimes you'll see the little cell phone signal by his name, Travis, there. It happened to me. I froze once. He jumps a bunch of times. It might go blurry for a second. I apologize for that stuff. But there's the pass after he had to take all 6 mana burn. Now I'm counting up mana. I'll give you an idea. Remember, I had him use a bunch of plows already. Alright, so here's what I wasn't really that stressing about. So I'm going to recall now. Give you a wild guess what I'm recalling for. There they are. Counterspell and Amnesia. Now I'm not going to do anything at the moment because I can't play Amnesia and Counterspell. He was just asking what I pitched. I thought he saw it, but I pitched 2 lands and those are the 2 cards I got. I'm going to pass turn because I want to draw an extra card again to try and get even more protection for my spell. I really want to wipe him out knowing his mana drain is there and he only has 1 other card in his entire deck. There's a forest. Alright, so there is a regrowth. I know what he's going for. He's going for the mana drain. I know I think I only have 1 counter spell in my hand, and I really wanted to protect Amnesia. But I'm going to use it in hopes that he doesn't have flash counters. And here's a flash counter. Alright, so at least I know a flash counter's out of his hand. He does have mana drain, but I know he doesn't have the use of the mana. Looks like I'm trying to decide what I'm doing here. Alright, so there's a hippie. I want him to use that mana drain. He knows I have Amnesia in my hand, and I can still cast it. So he has to decide what he's doing. Alright, he did not use it. Now, if he doesn't kill that hippie, I could take that mana drain out of his hand. There's a Wrath of God. I'm going to double check things here. I'm going to draw with the book in response. Still leaving 2 blue in case I need it for something. But you know I'm going to let that Wrath of God go. Now what I'm thinking here is he has a couple mana open. There's my Alternate Ancestor Recall. So there's my Artist Ancestor Recall there. Alright. There's Ancestor Recall draw. And draw for turn should be coming up here if I didn't already. But now I have a whole lot of mana. Yeah, there's my card for turn. And he only has 6 left. So now I also have a card in my hand. If you notice, I just played a Volcanic Island. Why do you think I was holding on to a Volcanic Island? He's at 14 life. What do I possibly have in my deck that can take out a huge chunk of his life? And it's called Fireball. Now I know he has a mana drain. So I'm going to make him use his mana drain. It's the only counter spell he has. I am going to try and protect it to see if he has another counter spell in hand. And he did have another flash counter. So now I know, for the most part, he is out of all removal and all counter magic in his hand. So now it's going to open the window here for me. But I want to time this right. Now, if you look, I'm going through here, and it is the same Amnesia, which means I have a whole nother Amnesia in this deck. And he doesn't know if I have it in hand or not. There's a Sarah Angel. I'm not worried about it. I can care less about it. It's not going to last. Now I know all his removal is gone. Or his counter magic's gone. So there's my removal, and he can't do anything about it. So that is the nail in the coffin for me to know that, hey, he doesn't have counter magic left. So let's put out some pain and see what happens. There's a regrowth. He was asking, hey, didn't you regrowth already? I said, no, I recalled, but I did forget to remove it. So I went through, grabbed it, and removed it real quick. That's something I typically tend to do when I'm trying to get out of it, but sometimes we forget. And we throw time twisters and recalls in the graveyards. If you watched any games, you'll see that happen from time to time. And there's Amnesia again. So let's play Amnesia out and see what happens. I'm basically just going through this, tapping my mana here to see what he has. Now, does he have Counterspell in hand? Nope, he is going to Divine Offering my book. I actually will... I don't know if I'm drawing. I might draw in response and let it go, or I might just let it go. I don't remember. I'm still tapping my land here, so I think I drew in response. Yeah, looks like I... Okay, I didn't. I let it go because I wanted a 5 mana for Hive. So I have 2 for Regrowth. I have the 6 for Amnesia. No. What are we at here? Yep. Alright, so There's the pass. It's Travis's turn. I have the hive out. If he doesn't have an answer to a hive, it will end his life. Now we know that his counter removal's gone. A lot of his stuff is gone. Now, I'm not quite sure if I tapped everything right. I almost want to rewatch. I was in the middle of tapping for a spell, and a spell was played off at the same time as I was tapping the mana for it. So hopefully I tapped everything properly. I'm pretty sure I did, but typically you want to wait for a spell to be successful before you start shooting something off, just so this makes way we don't accidentally tap wrong. And I've seen that happen all over the place too. It's the same thing with City of Brass. Sometimes we forget to take the City of Brass damage. Alright, so right now I'm trying to find a token. So at the end of his turn, I make a hive token, which is a wasp, a 1/1 wasp. I have no tokens. I have none of the fancy stuff like that. He has them. So what we decided, he's going to play my tokens for me on his board. Alright, so I'm going to use a dice, but the actual wasp is on his end. So you'll see it, tap for 1. I'm going to swing for 1. I'm going to time walk. Make another token. Draw my card. Attack for 2. You'll see this quickly add up. Alright, looks like I'm passing with 4. Alright, so there's a tower. I'm not going to let that go through. I'm sure I have some kind of disenchant here or something. Oh no, I don't have a disenchant, but I did have a counter spell. I can't let that go. I have this game sealed. I just need to make sure I don't lose the lock I have. So there's another end step wasp. Now I have 3. I'm going to play the strip mine. Not really useful here. It's just basically an extra mana source. There's a swing for 3. Now what I'm trying to get him down to is a little more of a lethal end. So I'm about 1 turn away, or maybe 1 to 2 turns away from killing him. This might be the fireball. Nope. Nope, I'm not doing it yet. I'm going to pass. Yeah, because I want to fireball and kill him the same turn. I don't want to give him another turn. So there's a disenchant. Now we're going to see if he has anything. I'm going to mana drain right now. Let's see if he has anything. Now, I've had that in my hand since the beginning. If you remember me telling you, I had 2 counter spells in hand at the very beginning. So now I have a mana drain, and I have extra mana, and I have 4 wasps. So now I can pump out I'm going to tap out. I'm going to do massive fireball there. Because he would have countered with a counter spell if he had it. So now we're just double checking the count here. And that's when we realize that fireball goes off. Swing for 4 wasps. game is over. So finish them off with wasps. We thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was pretty cool. I had to dip pretty quick after this, but I'm going to take out what I put in here in a moment. So you'll kind of see me panning through. You'll see him kind of taking some of his stuff out here shortly also. So I'll let this go for a hot minute. I did keep the Mirror Universe in there. Usually I would not. I would take it out. Alright, so that's what I ended up putting in. And you'll see right there, that's what I ended up taking out. I don't mind going one heavy because of all the mana I have. But if you look, I didn't actually go one heavy at all. I actually took an extra plow like I talked about because I was not worried about his Sarah's making it on the board. He left his removal in there. He took, you'll see the Sarah and the Time Twister. But here I'm walking him through. In a normal situation, what I have is, that's my normal deck. So I normally have the 2 Scepters and Amnesia. After sideboarding, I'll actually run 2 Amnesias, 4 Hippies, and 2 Scepters. That is a astronomical amount of, your hand isn't going to stay there. Brian will tell you straight out, he found that even if hymns were available, they are not stronger than Hypnotic Specters. In this kind of version, with the way we play it, Hypnotic Specters are way stronger than Hypnotorox. So I hope you enjoyed this. Have a wonderful day.